All right, Julia, we're seeing a lot of base hits by Bob Watson, number 27 in his Astros career. Right. And we are joined by the Commissioner of Baseball, Rob Manfred. Commissioner, great to see you.
Good to see you again.
What a special night it was for Bob Watson.
It's a great night. You know, he's really a great guy. You know, it's not often you can say about somebody, major league player, won a World Series as a GM, was a great executive when he was in the commissioner's office, and did fantastic charity work for B.A.T. I mean, that's quite 4 real accomplishments.
Baseball's assistance team, which he was such a big part of, and does such great work. And it's kind of quiet work, but it's so necessary.
It really is important. And, you know, when I first started the game, I heard people talk about the baseball family, and I think B.A.T. is the epitome of the fact that there really is a baseball family. Our players, our active players, are so generous in terms of contributing to B.A.T. and, you know, taking care of guys who played before them. So it really is a family activity.
Well, the B.A.T. organization, it actually goes way back, and they've been doing work behind the curtains for a long, long time. Talk to us about what your involvement with B.A.T. is.
Well, you know, I was actually around. I hate to say this because it makes me sound old. When Commissioner Uberoff started B.A.T., it was originally his brainchild. And I was involved in the early years in terms of drafting some of the documents and getting it set up as a charity. And then over the years, I've had involvement in individual cases. I've worked with B.A.T. in terms of getting a board together that was able not only to administer the funds that they had, but guys like Bob Watson took it to the next level in terms of making it a self-sustaining organization.
When you come here to Houston and you get to enjoy a little baseball, we just saw Francisco Lindor this past weekend. Carlos Correa not playing tonight, obviously a young star. You've got Mike Trout. You've got Harper. You've got all these Judge. You've got all the Machado. All 25 or younger. Right.
Our young complement right now, I think people in the game really believe it's unique. It's been decades since we had a group that's so outstanding in terms of the quality of the players that we have right now. I got lucky in that regard. I think I took over the game at a point in time. And, you know, years ago, people were saying, well, gee, you're not signing players out of Puerto Rico. There's not players coming from Puerto Rico. Well, there's 2 shortstops pretty darn good right now. So, you know, we're very fortunate in that regard. And it's not just that they play the game on the field. I think that our players, particularly this young group, they're engaging with our fans, really good people, interested in giving back to their communities, anxious to promote the game. Couldn't ask for better.
What is Major League Baseball doing? What do you have coming in trying to promote all these young budding superstars?
Well, everything that we're doing in terms of marketing the game is focused on individual players. At the end of the day, it's all about the players. You know, you don't sell tickets based on anybody sitting in New York. You don't sell tickets based on uniforms. You sell tickets based on who the players are. So if you look at this year in baseball, our advertising campaign, institutional campaign, all about players featuring guys like Rizzo, Bryant, Mike Trout, and they're giving us time that allows us to focus on the game. We're also working with our broadcast partners on doing player-focused pieces during games. There was a great one, my personal favorite so far this year. The ESPN did one with Stephen Vogt, who sings Disney songs. They actually had him on during the broadcast, and it was the greatest thing. You know, I can't remember who was doing the interview, but he'd say, you know, The Little Mermaid or some Disney song, and the player would sing. It was unbelievable. He could really sing, and he knew all the songs. But, you know, it shows our fans what they want to see, that there's another side to these guys. They're well-rounded. They're interesting. They're amusing. And our partners, Fox, has equally been focused on player pieces this year. So it's an overall effort. The last thing I'd say to you, we have coming in 2019 a relationship with Under Armour. There's no better way to market players than to have a consumer brand like Under Armour on the field and dealing with your players. That was a long answer, Mike. I'm sorry.
That was a good one, though.
The other thing that
exactly what I wanted to hear.
The other thing I love, we did an analytics show on our broadcast a couple of days ago where we're really diving into more numbers, and numbers are becoming so prevalent in the game of baseball. And I love the fact that there's so much access now through StatCast. MLB has really incorporated a way for fans to enjoy this game on a different level.
You know, I did a little thing with the print media before the game, and I got asked about your broadcast. As a matter of fact, somebody said they asked me about it. You know, what do you think about that? Look, I think I think statistics and analysis of the game are a way to deepen the fans' engagement with the game. It allows the average fan to understand better what's happening on the field. You know, a baseball guy can look at the route that a center fielder takes and realize that's what makes him, because they know that by intuition. But when you can show them the data that explains that, yeah, actually, not only was this guy fast, but he picked exactly the right route, that helps people understand why a particular player is good.
Where are we with instant replay and that whole process? What do you have in store for us coming up?
Well, I like where we are on replay. I'm a believer in replay. I think that it was responsive to a fundamental fan desire that we use technology to get calls right. So our focus more recently has been on the mechanics and the time involved. So this year we've shortened the time. We actually put a time limit on how long the manager has to challenge. One of the things people don't like is, you know, the putting the hand up or the slow walk. You know, I've heard it all, believe me. So, you know, the managers have been great about getting it done within that 30 seconds. Secondly, we have sort of a soft limit in the replay room of 2 minutes. You know, if you can't, with our technology, it's so good. If you can't figure it out in 2 minutes, you're probably not going to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So we're just trying to make sure that we're responsive. We use replay where the fans want it, but it doesn't become another thing that slows the game down too much.
I think there have been great additions. The 30-second rule, the 2-minute rule, it really gets things going. And like you said, if we're cutting it that close and you can't tell after 2 minutes, the play should stand.
Well, the other piece I should mention, and I am at heart a technology guy, one of the things we've done, you know, the first couple of years of replay, I would look at every one. You know, I get an email with every replay in the morning, and I started playing this game with myself. I wouldn't look at the description of how the play came out. I try to look at the replay and figure it out myself. And I'll tell you something, I was not very good at it. But now we have all these super slow motion cameras at first base. So many of the plays are out or safe at first. When you have that super slow motion, it makes it easy, and it makes it faster because the technology is so good.
Correct me if I'm wrong. For you, the time of game is one thing, but it's the ability to have action going and not a span of time where there's nothing going on.
That's exactly right. You can't manage time of game. Anybody that's been around the game, obviously I didn't play, but been around the game as long as I. Time is related to runs and, you know, competitive things that you're never going to be able to control. What we're trying to do is just get a little focus on the dead time. Time in between pitches, a really important consideration. Mound visits we're looking at, things where nothing's happening. We don't want to, you know, skew the game in one club's favor or another. We just want to deal with dead time. I said it downstairs in the press conference. Being in favor of dead time in the game is like being in favor of obesity, right? You don't want to be there.
So how are we doing with pace of play?
Well, you know, I would say this year we have really not made good progress. I mean, I just got to tell you the truth. I think that the trends that we're seeing that were of concern to us last year have been exacerbated. We're about to embark on a series of focused conversation with the Players Association on this topic. One thing, you know, you learn when you have my previous jobs, you know, if you're going to do something that directly affects the play of the game on the field, if you don't have the players, you're going to fail. And we're going to work with the players, try to hear their ideas, explain to them what we see as the problems, hear their ideas, give them our ideas, and hopefully we'll come up with a program for next year that'll help address this issue.
One thing I heard in your previous answer was time between pitches. Do you think there will be a pitch clock someday?
Me personally, I am a pitch clock fan. I actually think that, you know, I think we looked at it in conjunction with the owners meeting last week. 67% of the pitchers in the major leagues pitched with a pitch clock in the minor leagues, because we've had it for a few years now. If they did it there, I suspect they can probably do it at the big league level as well.
Commissioner, great to talk to you.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to see you, Mike. It's been a long time.
It has been.
Thank you. Commissioner Rob Manfred joining us in the booth. We are through an inning and a half.